Hey, Joe.
Here I am.
Hey,
Okay, great.
just
So I
checking.
see we're recording, we're seeing Facebook Live. Okay, good. And just one more time. Volume's good. Test, test, test. Test, test. Yeah.
All good.
Okay. And now let's see. And the lighting is good, good, good. Yeah.
It's good all around.
Okay, good. Thank you. So I will check in with you a little bit before 8.
Okay.
Yes, if you join us just now, we'll start 8:10 with arrest. Yay. Okay, and that will be off. And Hey, Joe.
Hey there.
Hey, just checking in.
All right.
Sound one more time. Let's see. And sound is good. Test, 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 test.
Sound is good.
Okay, great. Thanks. And just the video looks good with the lights and everything.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will begin shortly. Yay. Hello, my name is John Fisher, and this is Arrest. I've been trying to understand all the violence, all of the police violence, all this violence that has become so much a part of our culture from the police. And of course, I understand objectively and I'm horrified by it. But I want to understand it personally in some way. And I don't want to be phony about it. I just want to find something in my experience that will talk to me directly, subjectively, about the violence. And so I looked back over my history with cops holding guns. When I was in high school, I had the best time. I had the best time ever. I discovered myself in high school. And a lot of it had to do with drama, being in the drama group. It was great. I had the best 4 years in high school because of theater, because of drama. I loved my friends. And my parents were always so frustrated with me. They were always like on my case, because after 1981, my graduation ceremony, it was the summer and I was off to college in the fall. And they thought I should spend the summer like working or getting ready for school, making connections, getting ready for life. But I was like, phooey, I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to have fun with my friends. And the drama crowd were the best. I mean, people probably objectively thought that we were a bunch of geeks, but we had the best time. We dressed up all the time. We did crazy things. And the problem over the summer was there were no shows. There was no structure to our lives. There were no rehearsals. There were no plays. But we knew what to do with all that time. We had a great time. We always were driving around, having fun, doing great things. There was this restaurant called Zim's. We used to love to go to Zim's and we'd sit at a big table and we'd order like orange juices. We'd order like almost nothing and we'd sit there for like 4 hours just making faces and sounds and making fun of people and doing imitations of people in movies. We loved it. We were crazy. And the waitress used to come up to us when we got really loud and she'd go. And then we get noisy again. She'd come up again and she'd go. And then we get really crazy, just totally crazy. And she'd come and go, all right, that's it, kids. I mean, I love you. I just love you. You are my favorite patrons. But that's enough, kids, all right? Well, I'm going to give you my tiny check. This is your tiny check for all those orange juices. I want you to take that up to the cashier and I want you to pay and be on your way. I love you and I'll see you next time. But that's it, kid. That's it. Come on. Up, out. There you go. Bye, kids. Bye. Oh, we loved her and she loved us. We could tell. Next thing we wanted to do was go and TP somebody's house. We had to TP somebody's house every single weekend. But here's the thing. You couldn't just like go home and get the TP or go to the store and buy it. No way. That's too boring. That's too easy. You had to do it the tough way. You had to do it the tougho way. Yeah, the tough way, which was go to the bowling alley and steal the TP. So we go to the bowling alley and we go into the bathrooms and we load up on TP. We were so coy about it. Nobody even suspected us. We'd shove it into our clothes and then we make a big exit from the bowling alley with TP hidden. Nobody even noticed. Yeah, of course they noticed. Please. But we were in all the time bowling. We were like locals, right? And sometimes they yelled at us and sometimes they didn't, but we were just being kids. Who cares, right? Harmless kids stealing TP. So then we go to people's houses and we were great at TPing people's houses. We were so good at it. The key to TPing somebody's house is comprehensive. You've got to really do a lot, right? You've got to do a lot of TPing. I mean, just cover the place with a ton of TP. And if you really, really cover somebody's house, they've got to spend the whole next day cleaning it up. It's incredible how much TP you can put in somebody's house. It is wild. And we would cover these houses. We would cover them. And you know what the best thing to do is? The best thing to do is TP somebody's house in the rain. Right, it's great. Because what happens when you TP up somebody's house in the rain is the toilet paper sticks to everything. It sticks to everything. It sticks to the house. It sticks to the plants. They can't get it off for all the effort. It's incredible. And my house got TP'd. Yeah, my house got TP'd, just like everybody else's. Yeah, my house got TP'd. They did a lame job, though. My parents cleaned it up in like 2 minutes. They weren't even upset. They were just amused. I was like, what? This is lame. It wasn't even done in the rain. How stupid. And then on the prom weekends or ball weekends, when we had those rented tuxedos, we keep them for the whole week and we go into San Francisco. We go to the St. Francis Hotel or the Fairmont Hotel, and we would have so much fun. We'd ride up and down those fast elevators, and a bunch of us would get to a floor like 38. And we'd all be crowding around the elevator at 38, and we'd press the button. And when an elevator went up, going to a higher floor, it would stop and the doors would open, and there'd be those people on the elevator, and we'd all be like crowding around the elevator in our tuxedos, looking very elegant, and we'd go, it's great, great, great on 38, 8, 8. We're so glad you're here because it's great, great, great on 38, 8, 8. And the door would close. Everybody loved us. They were so amused. Except for the managers. The managers ended up kind of chasing us up and down in the elevators, right? So when we got kind of busted doing that, we'd go down to the lobby and we'd like sing. We sang in the Fairmont lobby, yeah. I mean, we weren't hired to or paid to, but we did it anyway in our tuxedos, our prom tuxedos. We'd sing songs until the manager came up, and the managers always went, out, get out. We had the best time. So one night I was headed off to have a fun time, do some wild, crazy things. And the only person available was my friend Kelly. Everybody else was doing something. They're so boring. Like they were working or getting ready for college, all that summer reading you're supposed to do for college. Boring. So Kelly and I got together, and Kelly was the craziest. She had this big frizzy hair. I loved it. Big, huge hair. And Kelly and I always liked to dress up when we went out, when we went out to do crazy things. So that night I was dressed as a golfer, right? I had on a red cardigan, and then I had on these white slacks and a fun belt, right? And saddle shoes. And then like a Robert Redford hat from the Sting. I looked like a golfer. And Kelly was dressed as a tennis player. She had like a little white tennis dress and a tennis shirt and an upside down sun visor. She was so funny. It was great. And what we're going to do is we're going to go off and like sneak up on people's houses. We're going to go off to see Meryl. Now, Meryl was our friend in Tiburon. And the way we snuck up on people's houses was we crawl up beside their house to an empty lot or through their side yard, and we throw things against their windows, right? Wake them up, they'd open the window, and we'd crawl in, and then we'd hang out and make a bunch of noise until we got chased out by the parents. It was fun. And yes, we're waking each other up in the middle of the night, and yes, we'd see each other in our pajamas or whatever. Who cares? Hey, I found out like years after the fact that a bunch of them spied on me in my underwear for like an hour, and they didn't even like throw rocks. They were just spying on me in my underwear. I was like humiliated. I wish they'd throw rocks. So anyway, Kelly and I were all set. These two skinny 17-year-olds. We're such nerds dressed as a golfer and a tennis player. And I was driving my grandma's old Dodge Dart that we inherited after she died. So we got to Kelly's house, to Meryl's house. And of course, we couldn't like knock on Meryl's front door or ring the bell. No way. No fun. We had to sneak up. We had to be spies because we loved being spies. And Meryl had done this with us. The girl whose house we were going to, she had done all of this with us. I mean, Meryl could be a little high strung, but she'd done this with us. She would love it when we did it. And, okay, yes, we were privileged suburban kids. Yes, okay, yeah, we were. I mean, but we were harmless. We were totally harmless. So it was the middle of the night. Well, after everybody should be in bed. And we got to the lot next to Meryl's house. And we started walking up the uneven surface. It was really steep. And we went up beside Meryl's house. And then we turned to face her window. And we were looking in her window. We could just sort of barely see Meryl in there sleeping. So I got some rocks. And I threw little pebbles against her window. When was she gonna wake up? I wanted Meryl to wake up. Come on, Meryl, wake up, wake up. Oh, and then she did. I could see her. She sat up in bed. She reached over. She turned her bedside lamp on. She stood up. She put on her bathrobe, and she left. She left her bedroom. She didn't like come to the window and open it and invite us in or tell us to go away, leave her alone. She didn't respond to us being spies. She just left the bedroom. And I was completely perplexed. So we stood there for a while waiting, Kelly and I. Yeah, we just waited because we knew that Meryl would come back eventually, or she'd come back and like throw water on us or something. I mean, come on, Meryl was going to come back, but she didn't come back. And we just waited and waited and nothing happened. And then I turned to Kelly. I said, well, I don't know. What do you want to do now? And Kelly said, I don't know. I said, do you want to go see a movie? She said, yeah, let's go see a movie. I said, how about Summer Lovers? It's got those 3 naked kids in it. There's a lot of nudity and lesbians. There's some lesbians in it. And she's like, oh yeah, Summer Lovers, that'd be great. Good idea. Okay, we'll go do Summer Lovers. And then all of a sudden, coming across the field towards us was a flashlight, and it was pointed right at us. And then there was another flashlight, 2 flashlights coming at us. And I could see 2 ginormous cops, the biggest cops I'd ever seen, this way, that way, huge. And they're holding guns and they're pointing them at us. And they say, get on the ground, God damn it. I'm like, these cops are coming at us? Get on the ground, or I'll blow your fucking head off. And I'm like, I was horrified. I mean, somebody points a gun at me and instant obedience. And they kept coming at us, get down on the ground, God damn it. Okay. And I'm like, what? I mean, these 2 skinny 17-year-olds dressed as a golfer and a tennis player, what could we possibly have done? What is this about? But Kelly and I both very obediently lay down on the ground. We're following instructions. That's the thing about guns, is you follow instructions. This huge cop comes up to me. He puts his knee on my back and pushes me into the ground. So I'm being shoved into the ground by his knee. Then he takes my wrist, puts it behind my back, takes my other wrist, puts it behind my back, and cuffs me on the ground. I am horrified. And of course, when a gun is pointed at you and all this is happening to you, you're thinking, what did I do wrong? I'm guilty of something. I must be guilty. So he hoists me up, grabbing me first by the cuffed hands and then by the shoulder, just like in a movie, and lifts me up off the ground. And then I'm standing here like this, and he frisks me. He pats me down everywhere. And Kelly is right beside me with her upside down sun visor. And he pats her down everywhere too. And I am shaking. Then he grabs my arm and clenches it like a vice and starts leading me down the hill. And I am horrified. But as actors, we're not supposed to talk about qualities like that, horror. We're not supposed to talk about things like that, feelings. We're supposed to talk about what our body was doing, how it was responding. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get enough breath. I kept losing my balance because I didn't have my arms to balance with, and he was gripping me so tight, I felt pain. And every time I fell, I felt more pain as he hoisted me up. And we're going down this hill. And finally, we get to his squad car. He opens the door and he puts his hand on my head and guides me into the back seat, just like in the movies, when they guide people in the back seat, and Kelly ends up beside me. They close the doors. The doors are locked. We are handcuffed in the back of a squad car in Tiburon. And then the 2 cops get into the front seat. They get comfortable, they start the engine, and they start driving us down the hill in silence. And I say, excuse me, I can barely speak. There's hardly any breath in me. There's no wetness in my mouth. It is dry like the Sahara. We know Meryl. Meryl lives in that house. We actually know Meryl. And the cop gets onto his radio and calls Meryl. And I can tell from the conversation that she's the one who called him. And I didn't know that a radio could call, I didn't know that a radio could call a phone, but they're having a phone conversation. And then he hangs up. He says, yes, she knows you. I said, okay, can we get out and can you uncuff us? And he says, no, you've been arrested. So now you have to be processed. So we're going down the hill. I've been arrested. I'm a lawyer's son and I've been arrested. My dad's gonna love this. So I'm going down the hill, and we get to the police station and the cops open the door. They take us out. They walk us by holding our cuffed hands into the police station. And now we're inside the police station, and finally they uncuff me. I can't believe how hard my wrists hurt. They're pain. And then they take my fingers, they put ink on every single finger, and they fingerprint me. They give me this little towel to wipe off the ink, and then they take a mug shot of me. Oh my God, I'm a criminal. I've done something awful. I know I haven't done anything, but that's how you feel when you're arrested, when you've got a gun pulled on you. Quite aside from the fact that you feel like you've just escaped death by gunshot, you feel like you've actually done something. And then, and only then, the cop says, okay, I want you two to go back up to the house. I'm going to take you up there to see your friend. And you tell her what happened. She's very upset. She was scared. So I want you to go up there and talk to her. And I'm like, okay, sure, of course. I'm like, what? We have to go explain ourselves? I mean, Meryl almost got us killed. She certainly got us arrested, and we have to go explain. But no, play nice, play nice. I'm like, okay, situations like this, you play nice. So we go out, and they open the door for us, and we sit in the back seat, not handcuffed, and they drive us up the hill. Now, Kelly is sitting beside me, and she is just like this. She is pissed. If she's freaked out, she's not showing it. She's just angry. But I am like, what? So they take us up to the house. We get out. We go and we ring the doorbell. Meryl opens the door, still in her bathrobe. She waves to them. The squad car drives off. We go into her hallway, and she closes the door. And Kelly is just like this. She is like that. She's not saying anything. So I'm going to have to do all the talking because guess what? Guess what? Meryl has to go with us to court to get this expunged. In other words, if we're not nice to Meryl, if we don't play nice with Meryl, she won't go to court with us. She's already almost gotten us killed. I know her logic at this point. She won't get our records expunged. The cop told me this. I couldn't believe it. So I'm playing nice. I'm like, hey, Meryl, that was really scary. You didn't realize it was like one of the drama kids and throwing pebbles like you've done with it. I was very, very scared. I was just scared. She says, I was scared. I was like, oh, okay. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. You were scared. I understand. What else am I going to say? I have to play nice. Okay, I was scared. I didn't know who it was. Oh, okay. So you didn't remember other times you... No, I didn't. I just wanted the police to come and take care of it. Okay. Okay, good. So on Monday, I'll call you and we'll set up a time to go to the court so we can see the judge and Kelly and I can have our records expunged. Is that okay? Yes. Yes, that's okay. I will do that. Thank you, Meryl. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry we scared you. I'm so sorry, Meryl. I am so sorry. I'm playing nice. So Kelly and I go back to my grandmother's Dodge Dart. We get in, I close the door, and we start heading down the hill. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Why did she, what? I mean, I knew she was like a little weird sometimes, but that was like psycho. She almost got us killed. So I'm obsessed with this now. But Kelly, she has moved on. The great thing about Kelly was she always had this great sense of humor, and she always saw the funny thing in anything. She said, you know, my big hair? Yeah. When they were frisking us, they wanted to make sure I had no weapons in my hair. So they frisked my hair. I'm like, oh, that's funny. That sure is funny. So I drop Callie off. I go home. I get into bed. And, I'm 17. So it's like I immediately forget about it and I go to sleep. But next morning I get up and I call Meryl. And I say, hey, Meryl, how are you? Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine, she says. I'm fine. So I wanted to confirm. Next Monday, you'll go with me to the courthouse to get our records expunged, mine and Kelly's record expunged. Yes, that's fine. Okay, thanks, Meryl. Thank you. John, would you like to go out on a date? What? Would you like to go on a date with me? I'm like, what? What? I mean, look. I mean, I have no illusions. I always thought that everybody just took me as the little gay virgin boy, like I didn't know what I was more gay or more virgin, but completely useless in all departments, even to a gay person, just like gay, but virgin. I was like, and she's asking me out on a date, this person I've spent 3 years hanging out with. And in this instance, she wants to go out on a date. Yeah, I'd love to go out on a date, John. Well, what am I going to say? No? I mean, she has my life in her hands. I mean, I could spend the rest of my life in jail or have a record the rest of my life. I won't be able to go to college. I won't be able to get a job. I'm like, sure, yeah. What would you like to do? Why don't we go see a movie? Yeah, okay, great. Friday night? Yeah, Friday night. Oh, okay. Well, I'll pick you up about 6 and we'll go see a movie. Okay? Okay. Bye, Meryl. So now I have to go on a date. I have to go on a date with Meryl and I have to play nice, right? I have to be a nice date. I can't just be a bad one. So I go to pick up Meryl and I got my Dodge Dart and I'm wearing a little costume. You know, I always wear costumes. My theme this time was like English country gentleman. So I'm in like a tweed jacket and an open collar with an ascot. I might even have a riding crop. You know, it's like incredible the way I used to dress. Anyway, I pick her up and she is in a very nice outfit. And, you know, we get into my grandma's Dodge Dart. I held the door for her like an English gentleman. And we drove to Sausalito and we saw this movie. Now, I have to confess that I could not restrain myself. I was pissed at her. I was so angry that she almost got me killed. And then now she's like being weird about getting my record expunged and I have to take her on a date. So I was like very quiet. Fortunately, the movie was lousy. It was horrible. It was Author, that Al Pacino movie. I mean, we thought it'd be great because it's about theater. It was terrible. And the reason I say it was fortunately is it gave us something to talk about because we came out of the movie and going in, I was like silent. But, you know, I got her some popcorn and, you know, a drink and I paid for the tickets. And we came out talking about how lousy the movie was. It kind of took my mind off of things. And so, okay, fine. It is not, I feel like I've been like, had my arm twisted into this date, but okay, yeah, it's going okay. So we get in the car and, you know, I put her into her side and I get around and I'm sitting there and she says, well, what do you want to do now? I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking, but didn't I just have a date with you? Haven't I fulfilled my obligation? But I was like, well, I don't know. I thought I'd take you home. And she goes, oh, great. That's a great idea. Let's go back to my place. Back to her place? So I start the car and I'm driving from Sausalito to Tiburon. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I go into her place and she invites me upstairs? What if she invites me into her bedroom? What if she invites me into her bed? I will be expected to perform. And what if I don't perform? What if I can't perform? Or what if I underperform? Suddenly she's going to remove the expungement because I'm inadequate sexually. I didn't perform adequately. She's going to like withhold expungement. I'm like, oh my God, I'm horrified. I've never had sex. And now it's like staring me in the face. And she's got this coy look on her face. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm horrified the whole way home. I'm horrified, but you know, don't talk about what you feel. It's like, I'm like, I'm not aroused. I know that. I'm like, you know, I can't breathe properly. I'm sweating. It's like totally different from being arrested or almost shot, but it is weird in my body. So we get to her place. I pull up in front of that house, that notorious house where I almost got shot. And I am just sitting there with the engine running. And she looks at me. And I don't know why I did this. This is so dumb. I turned the motor off, but I kept clutching the steering wheel. And she's just looking at me. And nothing's happening. I think she wants me to lean over. And I know out of my sense of obligation, you know, to expunge my record, if I take my hands off that steering wheel, I will lean over and make a big mistake. So I do nothing. I just stare ahead. And finally, at the corner of my eye, I see her smile. She opens her own door, gets out, closes the door, walks around, and taps on my window. I roll down the window. She leans down and kisses me. I'm like, Then she walks to her front door. She opens it and turns around and looks at me. And I swear to God, the look on her face is beckoning. It is beckoning. But I think she's being too polite, too ladylike to invite me in. She wants me to initiate it. But I'm just like smiling. And she's looking at me, and I'm like smiling. And she's looking at me. And then she walks inside, and I don't know why, but she closes the door. And I have to confess, I was a little bit like, offended. Like, really? I mean, but then who cares? I got off. I mean, I have to play nice, but that was scary. The invitation to get into the back. So I got off, but I don't know how she feels about me. I don't know if she just thinks I'm a big wimp and she hates me. So sure enough, on Monday, I drive over there and it's all businesslike. It is all businesslike. I pick her up. We drive to the courthouse. We see not a judge, but a clerk. She explains the situation. Her friends were acting like idiots, she says. Like she hadn't done this with us a million times. She called the police. We were arrested. It's all fine. We're her friends. And my record was expunged. And then I drove her home, and that is the last time I've ever spoken to her. And I think about this. I think about this incident. And I ask myself, I got very close to being shot, right? And what would happen to Kelly and me if we had both been Black? I think they would have shot at us. At both of us. I think they would have hit one of us, and probably that person would have died. I think just because I was this skinny, weird kid, somehow I got off. But I wouldn't have if I was different. Next incident. I was writing and directing this play called Special Forces, and I had the very good fortune of having it put on. It was a play about the 2003 invasion of Iraq, the United States invasion of Iraq, and it was a condemnation of that invasion. All that macho Bush II stuff of invading countries and punishing, Saddam Hussein, however they said it. I mean, it was just like ridiculous. What was that operation called? Operation Desert Freedom or Happy Storm or Iraq Happiness or whatever the hell it was. So it was a condemnation of that horrible invasion, but also it was a play about gays in the military, right? Because that was a discussion of the theater I was working in, which of course was Theater Rhinoceros. So we're doing this play, and Theater Rhinoceros was in the Redstone Building. Now, the Redstone Building is located on 16th and Cap in the Mission District of San Francisco. Now, you're immediately thinking, oh, wow, that's all gentrified. Must be nice. It's not. 16th and Cap is not nice. It is horrible. But listen, every part of the Mission has been gentrified except 16th and Cap, which are the two worst streets in San Francisco. Cap Street is a shooting gallery in every sense of the word. Guns, syringes, knives. It is incredible. Crime, drugs, people vomiting from heroin. You're like sliding on the sidewalk. It's disgusting. It is a horrifying street. The worst street in San Francisco is 16th Street in front of the Redstone Building. The only thing worse than it is Cap Street in front of the Redstone Building. So that's where it's located. Now, the Redstone Building is actually very cool because it's like a labor temple. It's full of all these really lefty organizations. It was built in the 20s, and it was full of all these like unions, right? And now it's everything in it's lefty, super lefty. So there's like the Artists in Revolution. These are like communist artists who march around the Mission on Saturday playing the Internationale. I love it. And there's a credit union in there, and there's El Teatro Campesino and Lunacy, this women's theater. And it's full of all sorts of really cool lefty stuff. And down the hall is this gallery, this really cool gallery. And of course, Theater Rhinoceros, right? The oldest LGBTQ theater anywhere. So it's really lefty. And we all hate everything. We hate the military, the government, the police. We're all very suspicious of all this stuff. So we're really like collegial, right? We're all of like one mind, us lefties. So the Redstone Building is where the theater is, and we are in the theater space on the stage, and we are having Tech Day. Now, Tech Day is where you get all the goodies. You get the set, you get the lights, the sound, you get the props, the costumes. And of course, in this play, which is about the invasion of Iraq in 2003, a lot of the costumes are uniforms. And of course, we have a lot of props that are guns, right? And these are toy guns. They're plastic. They don't weigh anything. They can't do anything. But they look pretty good. They look like, like real guns, right? Kind of, if you really looked, you'd see that they were toys. And so I'm the director, and I'm sitting at what's called the production table. That's where the director sits. Yes, very important. And I'm at the production table, and on the production table is one of these plastic guns, right? So we're going through the light cues, right? And then all of a sudden, the front door to the theater bursts open. And all of us, actors, director, stage manager, look at the front door, and suddenly this huge female cop, the biggest female cop I've ever seen in my life, bursts in. Police! We're hearing a weapons call, a weapons call. Are there weapons in this building? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, that is a real gun, and she is ready to use it. She is ready to use that gun. So I stand up from the production table, I raise my hands, again, show me a gun and you get my cooperation. I am instantly cooperative, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do? Again, the guilt thing, right? And I'm playing nice, always the best strategy. And I'm like, hi, my hands are up. I'm actually saying this. My hands are up and I'm stepping away from the production table. That on the table is a toy. That is a toy gun on the table right there, like instant obedience. Yeah, I'm going to give them all the information they need. That is a toy gun. She is looking around. And then I see coming into the theater behind her 7 more cops, all with their guns drawn and ready. And they are all looking around. And she looks at me, and her gun is still drawn, still in her hands. And I'm like, we are rehearsing a play. This is a play. We're rehearsing a play. These are all props. Anything you see that looks like a weapon is a prop. I don't even know if they understand a word I'm saying. Do they know what a play is? Do they know what rehearsal is? Do they know what a prop is? I'm like babbling, but if I don't explain to them quickly what's going on in this theater, they are going to shoot all of us. That is the energy in this room. So we're rehearsing a play, and the theater is full of cops, and they've all got weapons. Some of them have pistols. Others have those pump action shotguns, right? The ones that they have in the car between the seats that they only use when things are really intense. And these guys are ready. You can see the look on their face. They are ready to rock and roll. So I'm sitting there with all these cops, with all these drawn guns. That's 8 cops, 4 squad cars full. And I'm like, our play, the play I'm doing, is a satire about US aggression with guns, with weapons. And this is a satire of me. This is my payback. Yeah, this is hoist by my own petard. I'm gonna die because I took on the US government doing this dumb play. I'm like, what am I doing? But I'm like, ha, 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 ha. And finally, the officer, she takes a good look at all of us and she holsters her gun. And then all the other officers slowly deflate and they're all looking at us. And she points to me and she goes like this. So I go with her and we go out into the hallway. People from the art gallery, yeah, they walked by. They looked into the theater. They saw a bunch of people with guns. So they called us. They said there were guns, a lot of guns in the premises. So you need to go down to the art gallery and explain to them what you're doing here, okay? And I'm like, play nice, play nice. Yes, of course, be obedient. Yes, of course, thank you, officer. Thank you, officer, thank you. I appreciate your feedback. I mean, your instructions. I mean, your orders. I appreciate them. And I will go down the hall and I will talk to these people. So once again, I have to go make nice with people who called the cops and almost got me killed. But I don't let on to the cop that. Thank you, officer. Thank you, gentlemen. All of you. Thank you. Good work. Good. That was good. That was good. That was good. So I walk down the hall to talk to the woman who runs the art gallery. Now, this is a very nice woman. I've known her for years. She's cool. She's cool. I mean, I would never expect this from her, but she's cool, right? So I go down to the art gallery and she is standing there and she looks kind of not upset, just sort of ruminative, like, And I say, hi, Theater Rhinoceros was just full of 8 cops with drawn guns. They came in ready to shoot us. Are you aware of this? Yes, I am. The Poets, our Saturday night poetry group, yeah, they meet every Saturday night. They walked by your space, they walked in, they saw guns, and they got very upset. They got very, very upset. So they came down here, and I called the police and told them that you had guns in there. And then we all ran for safety out onto Cap Street. What? I'm thinking, what? They ran for safety out onto Cap Street? That's probably the first time in the history of San Francisco that anybody has run for safety onto Cap Street, the most horrifying street in the world. I'm like, and she says, yes, yes. So they were very, very upset. So I talked to her. Are you aware of what just happened? Well, they were upset and I was upset. So no, excuse me. You see, I wasn't gonna go through another Merrill thing. This person did not have to expunge me. I didn't have to be nice to her. I had got rid of the cops by myself. I didn't need her. So I was going to explain to her what she almost just did. I said, listen to me. You just got a bunch of cops to come to the theater. You almost got me shot and 7 young actors shot. Are you aware of that? Well, are you aware that you almost got us shot? I mean, you know that we do theater. You walk by our theater all the time. You know that we do plays that have like stage fighting in them, stage combat. You know we do plays that have knives and people arguing and plays with guns. You know this. So somebody tells you there's a gun in there and your first thought is to call the cops? Could I just request that next time this happens, you take a moment and just think, oh, it's a theater. It's probably part of the play. And if you still think something's wrong, could you just shout down the hall, hi, excuse me, want to make sure everything's okay in there? Or if that doesn't make you comfortable, could you like look around and see if there are posters like there are in the hall, like 6 of them, posters showing what we're doing in there, which is a military play, which it would explain the guns. Or if nothing else, could you just call the cops and say, I think you should come down here and check out what's going on in the theater. Don't say they've got a bunch of guns. Do you understand that? Yes, I understand. Do you understand that you just almost got us killed, right? Like if we made the wrong move, somebody might have gotten killed. You do understand that? Yes, yes, yes. I do. Thank you. So she copped to it. So I go back to the theater and I have to act all cool, right? Because I'm in charge. I can't be all like freaked out. I'm the one in charge. So I walk in and everybody's like, what happened? I said, it's fine. It's just, it was a big mistake. It's fine. Let's get back to rehearsal. Just ignore it, move on. I mean, what? And one of the actors comes up to me and he says, oh, it's so funny. This funny thing happened. I said, what's that? He said, when all those guys were leaving, all those cops, one of them, when he put his gun back in his holster, he said, damn. And then he holstered it. He was so disappointed he didn't get to shoot one of us. I thought, boy, that's really funny. Great, what a great story. Thanks for sharing that. Yay! Let's get back to work. And I think back on that. And it became a famous event. It became a famous event because Leah Garchik wrote about it in her column. And the title of the article was Play Nice, which is exactly what I had to do to calm everybody down. Play nice. But when I think of it, I realize that we got this close to getting shot. Just like Meryl, I almost got shot again. And I wonder, I mean, we were a very eclectic group. There was a very eclectic group putting on that play. There were straight people, gay people, trans people in that show. There were Latinx people in that show. I mean, it was a very eclectic group of people, but there was nobody Black in that theater when the cops burst in. And I wonder if we'd been a Black theater company and everybody in there had been Black, or even a couple, or even one, I think there would have been some shooting. I think 2 people would have gotten shot. And I think one of them now would be dead. Next incident. The new Chrissy Field that opened. It had finally opened. You know, Chrissy Field, that beautiful field. Well, for years it wasn't. It was a horrible US Army airstrip. Terrible. But they tore that out and they built a beach and they built a path for bicyclists and pedestrians, and they did all this exotic planting. Not exotic because it was indigenous. It was the real planting, but it was exotic to us because it was new. We hadn't seen it. And also they built a huge lawn and a roadway and a lagoon. It was spectacular. And my husband Michael and I, we love to bike everywhere. And so we're riding our bikes at Chrissy Field on the bike path, and we're riding towards the Golden Gate Bridge. And as we get close to the bridge, we see a pier going out of the bay. The pier has been totally restored, and we turn and we ride out onto the pier. My hubby and I love my hubby. We like to explore on our bikes every weekend. We still do it. And here we are in beautiful new Chrissy Field. It's incredible. And we're out on this beautiful pier in the middle of the bay, looking at the Golden Gate Bridge. And we sort of ride around a little bit on the pier to get different views. It is incredible. It is gorgeous. We're having the best afternoon. Then suddenly, hey, get off those bikes! Get off those bikes! There's a park ranger coming at me with his hand on his gun, screaming at us to get off the bikes. Get off those bikes! Get off those bikes! It's like his head's going to explode. It's like his head is like full of blood and pus and awful stuff, and it's going to just go like, he's so angry. I'm like, why is he so angry? Get off those bikes! I'm like, well, like, no, get off those bikes right now! I'm like, Jesus Christ, yes, fine. We'll get off the damn bikes. So we both get off of our bikes. I'm like, what's the big deal? Jesus. So he turns his back on us and he walks away. Well, Michael's the best, but he has no time for petty authority, for people in uniforms throwing their weight around. He has no time for this. So the second the park ranger with the gun has his back turned, Michael gets on his bike, still on the pier, and starts riding his bike on the pier. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And suddenly the ranger is behind us. Hey, come here. Come here right now, come here. And Michael is like, hey, come on. Take off. That's what Michael says. Take off. Let's go. Take off. And Michael zooms off the pier. And I'm like standing between the two of them. And I'm like, well, my husband, a guy with a gun. Who do I listen to? And Michael is like disappearing. And you're like, hey, come here. And it's like, oh my God. So I get on my bike and I start riding like crazy. And I turn and I catch up with Michael, and we're riding along the path, along the beach, and we are making headway. We have made a getaway. Oh my God, it was horrible, but we made a getaway. And then all of a sudden, we see on the other side of the lawn, there's a road, and on that road is a park ranger squad car speeding along the road with its lights going. That maniac has gotten into his squad car, and he is chasing us. Oh my God. So here's a map. This is a map. This will help you. This is a helpful map that I made helpfully. So here's the pier. And we're on this path, which is a bike pedestrian path, right? And then there's a lawn, and then there's this road. And he's in his squad car speeding on that road. And what he's trying to do is get to the parking lot at the other end of the path where he can cut us off and then, I don't know what, shoot us, like arrest us, draw and quarter us, something terrible, because he is a maniac. And we're like, what? I mean, he can't drive across the lawn, so he's got to head us off. So we have to do something. So what do we do? Well, we take a left turn to a beach. So if you look at the map again, the helpful map. So what we do is when we get to this point, we take a left turn and go onto the beach. So we actually turn our bikes onto the beach, and then we pick them up and we carry them through the sand of the beach, and then we throw them down and lay on top of them to get our heads low so he can't see us from a distance. And there we are on the beach, hiding from the cop who is, at the end of the path at the parking lot. It's like, oh my God, I almost got shot again because I was on a bike on a pier. What? I didn't even know you could take a bike on the pier. I didn't even see the sign. I was like, oh. So we kind of calmed down. But we have to come up with a plan because right now we can't get out of there because you see, you can't, if we go back on the path, he's going to see us, right? He's going to be at the parking lot with us. And if you walk along the beach, it's going to get, so what are we going to do? First of all, we have to protect the bikes. So we lock the bikes to each other, okay? Which is like ridiculous because they're not locked to anything. They're just locked to each other, but that's all we can do. Right? Somebody can come along and pick up both bikes, take them to their car, take them home, get the lock off somehow. I mean, it's like ridiculous, but anyway, it's the best we can do. So we're going to lock the bikes to each other. Then we're going to disguise ourselves. We're going to make ourselves look like completely different people. So good, we're off the bikes. That'll make us look less conspicuous because he's looking for two guys on bikes, but he might recognize us as bikeless people. So we take off our sweaters and put them over our shoulders, and then we take off our shoes and our socks. So we're going to act like we're beach people. Like we're people just strolling on the beach. We don't even have bicycles. That's what we're going to act like. And we roll up our pants. And then we just walk down the beach. With the wind blowing in our hair, we're just walking down the beach, enjoying the sand. And sometimes we go into the waves and we kick and we act like we're just like beach strollers headed back to our car in the parking lot, thinking the whole time that we might get shot once we get to the parking lot. So we're walking along and we're like trying to see, is he around here? Is he around here? Where's his squad car? Where's the maniac with the weird hat and the gun? And we don't see him, and we walk and walk and walk. And finally, we're walking past the yacht club, and finally we are off federal property. The park ranger can't shoot us anymore. So we've escaped, but we've lost the bikes. The bikes are back there. They're locked to each other on the beach. And the longer they're there, the more likely they are to get stolen, right? So what are we going to do? Well, we have to get the bikes back. So we go to this sporting goods store on Chestnut Street, which is not that close. I mean, it takes us about 15 minutes to walk there. We walk to the sporting goods store and we buy these dumb hats. I mean, these hats are so stupid. I would never wear one of these hats that we buy. And then we sort of change, I would never, this is ridiculous. I've never worn a sweater like this, except in that horrible incident, right? Disguise, it's like, it's stupid. So now we have to change ourselves to different people. So we put the sweaters around our waist. And now we're headed back to federal property, the park ranger. And we're walking back, and I said, we have to walk differently. So we start walking differently. I'm thinking John Wayne. I'm thinking like, somebody who's like an off-duty cop. That's what I wanted to think we're off-duty cops, not the horrible bicyclists who he wants to kill. So we walk back to the parking lot, and we get back to the beach. And I say to Michael, look, he's looking for two guys. So if we recover the bikes together, he's going to see us together. So, okay, I'll get one bike at a time. And also, Michael, I don't want him to get, if Michael talks to this guy, Michael's going to like, it's just like, he's like, he doesn't like the authority thing. So I play nice. But, okay, so I'm going to handle it. So I walk along the beach. And finally, I get to where we left the bikes. And I turn to the bikes. And I get one bike and I unlock it, and I get on it and I ride it back to Michael. And I hand the bike off to Michael. And I walk back along the beach. And I turn to the other bike and I unlock the bike. They were both there. I couldn't believe it. It's a miracle. And I ride the bike back to Michael. And we get on the right bikes and then we ride home. I can't even believe it. We survived. We survived through all these costumes, and we didn't get shot. And what had we done? What had we actually done? What had we done? We had ridden our bikes on a pier, and we got screamed at by this maniac. It's like insanity. These cops with guns. And I think to myself, what would have happened if we'd been black and we tried to make a getaway and he caught up with us? I think both of us would have gotten shot, and at least one of us would have died. So as I sort of think about all this and what's going on in our country right now, I'm like, I have intimate knowledge of cops with guns. And yes, people make stupid phone calls and get them involved. I don't think people can really help that. I don't think they realize what they're doing. But once somebody has a gun, guess what? That becomes part of their communication, right? And if they don't like what you're saying, they're going to communicate back to you. If they don't like how you look or what you're doing, they're going to communicate. Who would become a cop except somebody who wanted to carry a gun? And who would carry a gun except somebody who wants to shoot it? And then you begin asking yourself, who do they want to shoot? I've been thinking a lot this week about what's going on in this country right now. And this is unrelated to my piece. This is a sidebar or completely unrelated piece. But I've been thinking about the violence in this country, the confusion, the disease, the bizarreness in the White House. And I was trying to think of what I can add to the discourse. And I feel like all my thoughts are mundane. I mean, a lot of much smarter people who think a lot more about this stuff than I do have said a lot of incredible things. But then I thought, what about history? What does history have to contribute? So this doesn't have to do with the gun thing, except elliptically. I think I've said everything I want to about the guns. I think I understand the guns and the fear of police and the danger of police in this country. I've had those 3 horrific experiences. This is something else that I'm talking about now. This is about our president and what he's going through. And right now, it seems like, what is this? This is like something that is completely unprecedented, but it's not. It is not unprecedented. What's going on with our president right now and what's going on with our country right now, and our president's inability to deal. 101 years ago, in 1919, the Spanish flu was raging across America. 600,000 Americans would die from the Spanish flu. World War II had just ended. The American soldiers were demobilized. They came back from Europe, from the fighting, but there was no plan for their employment. Suddenly they had no job. The war industry is shut down and there was no place for them to work. There was 12% unemployment. It was a catastrophe because there was no plan. The result? Race rage, race riots, outrageous race riots. And when I say race riots, I mean white people killing black people. It was called the Red Summer because Americans were so terrified of communists. And they thought because blacks wanted equality that they wanted communism. They thought that America was going to turn into Russia, a communist country, and they were terrified. Also, they were convinced that blacks were going to take the white jobs. So there were race riots, lynchings, mob attacks in 38 cities in this country. Hundreds of blacks were killed. For the first time ever, en masse, blacks fought back, but it wasn't good enough. Hundreds were killed. The president of the United States at the time, in 1919, was not sympathetic. He didn't care about the blacks. His name was Woodrow Wilson. He said, the American Negro returning from abroad, from service in the US Army in Europe, will be our greatest medium for conveying communism into America. He had no sympathy or understanding for what the blacks were going through in this vicious red summer of black murder. Whites murdering blacks. On October 2nd, 1919, October 2nd, does that date sound familiar? Wilson suffered a massive stroke. He was paralyzed on the whole left side of his body. He could not move. He will be incapacitated for 5 months, largely unseen, holed up in the White House. And Wilson refuses to step down for that entire period. The country is run by his wife, Edith, and by one of his assistants. He will not call his cabinet for 5 months. The NAACP, horrified by what's happening to black people in this country, wrote to President Wilson with reference to the murder of blacks. This is what they said. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People respectfully inquires how long the federal government under your administration, President Wilson, intends to tolerate anarchy in the United States. Wilson does nothing. He is paralyzed, paranoid, delusional. And because of his being incapacitated, he doesn't finalize the Versailles Treaty. The war never ends properly. He's not lucid enough. He's not organized enough to get it through Congress. And it is defeated. And the United States does not sign. They do not sign. And the League of Nations is a joke. And as a result, because of the president's incapacity, there will be a second world war because the first one didn't end properly. Additionally, because Wilson doesn't take charge of the race situation, the civil rights movement will be postponed 40 years. The unemployment remains rampant. It is the disastrous administration. Now, I was raised as a good liberal to believe in Wilson. But here's a man who took the country to war, didn't finalize the war, allowed blacks to be killed, allowed the economy to collapse, and finally would not step down when he was incapable of ruling this country. And now I hear that Nancy Pelosi is just talking about there needs to be a system in place for taking a president down when he is not fit to rule 101 years later. This isn't anything new. We've suffered through this entire administration. This is the icing on the cake of a wretched administration. What is going to happen? And when are we going to solve this problem? We didn't solve it with Wilson, and I don't think we're going to solve it with Trump. Why is this left to the presidents to decide that they're not going to step down? Thank you very much for joining me for Rest with my afterpiece on Woodrow Wilson. We have been presenting COVID-19 pieces since shelter in place began. We've presented over 40 pieces. This is my 29th solo performance on Thursday nights. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to support our programs, and we have a whole season of plays coming up, and these will be inside outside. They'll begin inside COVID-19 productions that are broadcast on Zoom. And eventually, we're hoping at some point in the new year, 2021, to go back into the theater so we could be there with you live. If you'd like to support all these programs, please consider a donation to our theater. You can send it to me, John Fisher, at Theater Right Osris, at my COVID-19 office, 91 Central Avenue, Suite number 102, San Francisco, California, 94117. Or you can go on our website, therhino.org, and use PayPal. That's THERHINO.org. I'll be back next week with a piece called Randy about the great queer journalist Randy Schultz. But before that, we have a reading of The Debut of Georgia, a wonderful play by Bonnie Alvarez, directed by Eli Akiza. So we hope you can join us for that. That's on Tuesday night at 7. Then my piece will be again next Thursday at 8. And a whole new season of plays, beginning with Overlooked Latinas, beginning in November. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. You were a terrific audience. You really were. I can tell. There's something, it's an ESP. That's my thing, Essential Services Project. That gives me ESP. Thank you so much for joining me. You were great.